a warm welcome to the Camino Talk Show. My name is Julia Doherty from The Adventure Geek, and we're going to welcome you to this amazing show. This show for those who are interested in finding out more about the Camino, or if you're like me and you enjoy this show as a little bit of a trip down memory lane, having already walked this magical place. So without further ado, let me introduce you to this week's guest pilgrim, who I met in 2016, I think it was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so this is Fernando. So Fernando is a seasoned pilgrim, having walked the Camino a few times and even appeared on television to tell his story. Fernando and his wife Ali were part of our Camino family on the very first trip that we encountered, and we shared together many experiences, from playing spoons to teaching each other how to do Popeye impressions to some very deep, meaningful conversations along the trail. So let's delve into Fernando's story all the way from Argentina. Hello, Pilgrim. How are you doing today?
Hello, Julie. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
We are fine here in Argentina. Yes, very good to see you again.
Fernando, you haven't changed a bit. You still look the same.
Oh, that's good. You too.
Okay, so right, let me ask you the very first question that I always ask every guest, which is, do you remember how you first heard about the Camino? When did you first experience that? How did you hear about it?
Well, let me remember, it was 2012. We went to Spain with Ali as tourists.
Okay.
And we decided we wanted to get to know Galicia. And we went as tourists, so we decided to go from one town to the other by bus or by train. And that's how we got to know Vigo, Pontevedra, Orense, La Coruña, and also Santiago. And there in Santiago, we found these ads on the walls that you can take out the tickets, the paper, which had the phone number there. That said, guided Camino to Santiago. But we didn't want to do it like that because it was some kind of guided tour. But the seed was already planted. So the hearing about the Camino, what is the Camino? And then Ali, my wife, started searching on the internet about the Camino. And that's how we ended 4 years later doing it.
Wow, okay, what an amazing story. Okay, so you've walked the Camino twice?
Yes, we did the first Camino, we did it together with Ali. We were walking from Saint-Jean, Pied-de-Port, to Santiago as a whole trip in 33 days.
33 days.
We started in Saint-Jean, we ended in Santiago. Yes. That was in 2016 with you in many stages. And this March, this year, I walked the part of the North Way from Santander to Oviedo, and then the whole primitive way from Oviedo to Santiago, and that's the part of the way I did with Martin, our son. We walked together with him.
Okay, and how old is Martin?
Martin is now 28.
And was it his first Camino?
Yes, absolutely. He wanted to know about the experience, and we could tell him about the Camino and how to overcome every stage, but you cannot tell everything. So I told him, why don't you join me when I do it on my own? And as he was some kind of intrigued about it, so he decided to, well, I'll go with you. And he met me there. So he also traveled on his own and met me in Oviedo. And that's how we walked 12 days under cold weather. In March, the Camino is completely different. A late snow came in the middle of the Camino. And we spent, let's say, 4 or 5 days under heavy, cold weather and under the snow, and it was very hard, but the feeling of overcoming all that and doing it is fantastic.
It's good for the soul.
Yes, Yes, it's good. It's good for you because some of the things that you you go searching in the Camino is will I be able to go beyond my limits? Will I overcome my fears, my weaknesses, uh, leaving all the stuff you have at home behind with only your backpack? And that's what you are go to the Camino to find, and you find that and much more.
So, what was your first night like? I mean, I think your very first night on the Camino, you was with us at the Orison. So, how did you feel
Yes.
on that first night?
Oh, it's something I will always remember because I am not a mountain man. I live in a city. I live in Buenos Aires. So I don't know much about trekking. I don't know much about hiking. We carried our backpack and we decided to go. So the first night was full of doubts. Uh, I remember thinking about what am I doing here? Why I am here? Will I be able to go next stage? And it was all questions and doubts. But starting from one stage to the other, you become more, you have faith in yourself, and you go on and you go on, and at the end it's very emotional.
Would you say you walked the Camino for religious reasons or spiritual reasons or just a physical challenge? What was the main reason for you walking the Camino?
Well, I'm Christian. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the apostles. I believe the Santiago is there. The Saint James is there in Santiago. So my aim was to find a spiritual journey, and I prayed to him when I was weak to help me. So, and I believe he helped me because I reached Santiago. But plus, I would say there is a spiritual strength in every stone, in every path you walk, because you know pilgrimage is done for centuries. So when you walk there, a lot of pilgrims before you were there. So you find a spiritual strength in all the nature and all the path you are walking. A lot of people did it the same way you are doing it, and you are adding your strength and your feeling there. So I feel it's quite a spiritual journey for everyone, even you're a Christian or not. Is a good experience.
And what would you say the people are like on the Camino?
The people, I mean, walking from one side to the other of Spain, you walk across Spain from one side to the other, from east to west. So you find different landscapes. The geography is completely different from one side to the other, and also is the people, the locals, are quite different in the different places you visit. And also the people you meet, the other pilgrims, it's so rich about it. I always say that the Camino is like a living encyclopedia because you learn about sociology and geography and history and everything. It's like a living in a book that you find people, you talk to people, you share experiences with the locals, and you find the churches, the temples, the beautiful landscape. So it's a very rich experience like no other, I believe.
And how did you feel when you finally got to Santiago that first time?
Oh, I, uh, I took my boots off. I danced. I cried. I couldn't believe what I have done. I simply thought that it was just walking, but in the meantime, in every stage, you find yourself more confident about what you are doing, and you at the end when you reach Santiago, you simply cannot believe it is you who have arrived. And you become completely different person.
So did you arrive in the morning or in the afternoon?
I believe the last stage is always short compared to the other. So I believe we arrived almost midday. Yes, it was midday more or less, and it was a good time to arrive because you could leave the things in the auberge you wanted to stay. You could go see the mass. We arrived, I believe, midday it was.
So did you see I've forgotten what the swingy thing is called in the mass in the cathedral for the pilgrims mass? What's the incense burner? What's it called?
Bota fumeiro, because it comes from the Galician term to make fire. It means to make fire inside, adding the incense there, and you burn it with ashes. So it leaves the smoke, and the smoke comes from the holes in that big stuff that is the botafumeiro, and they push it, and it starts moving from one side to the other. And that is something that is always done in special masses. For example, in the Holy Week or in some special occasions, they turn it on and they use it. It's not every day. The botafumeiro is not used in every mass. But in the first Camino, we had the opportunity to see it moving, and it needs, I believe it's 8 people, 8 monks have to pull it and push it because it's very heavy.
Wow. Okay. And did you get a certificate, your Compostela?
Yes. In both Caminos, I went to search for it. You have your credential full of stamps, sealed, completely sealed. You need to seal it. You know it. You need to seal it every day, at least twice. And when you bring it there, they ask you where do you come from, where did you start, your name, because they put it in the Compostela. They put all that information, and also if you want to have it with another Compostela with the kilometers you have walked, they also give it to you if you pay, I believe, €2, and you have the other Compostela with the kilometers you have walked. And I have 2.
Okay, fantastic. So, do you have any memorable stories that you wish to share with us about your Camino journey? Is anything that you think that was a special moment? Anything that springs to mind?
Well, the first one we have already talked about. It was the first night full of doubts, and I believe it was, what am I doing here? And the second, Ale and I, we wanted to spend our 50-year-old birthday in the Camino. And Ale in Estela la Reina was it was her birthday.
I remember that night.
Of June. And you remember that because you were there. So organizing a kind of party, because we had anything, and you remember we had anything to organize. We couldn't buy a present, we couldn't buy a cake, but we did it all together, and she was very happy because a lot of people came to sing happy birthday, and we spent until late in the night playing spoons and talking to each other, which was a very, very special, very memorable time in the Camino.
That's one of my special moments as well for all the Caminos I've done. It was quite an emotional night, but very, very special. Lots of wine, I think. That's probably why as well. Okay.
In a moment of your life, you need to do something different. Get out of your routine. Some of us need to become anonymous to feel free. And that's something that happened to me, the feeling of anonymity and the happiness that the walking without any other thing to do than walking and staring at nature. I believe that is a very strong feeling that perhaps I never felt before, And once I went to the Camino the second time, I felt again. So that's the some kind of saying that we use, that once you become a pilgrim, you are a pilgrim forever.
That is so true. That is so true. Once you're a pilgrim forever. Cool. So you do much? You said you didn't do much training for the Camino. So did you?
I would say you really need to be a bit trained, at least in walking. My training schedule was working from my house to work. It was about 4 miles going and going back, 3 or more times a week, walking every day, plus some yoga. I also did yoga twice a week, and I believe, yes, I believe you also need to not to be overweight. I also believe you don't need to be slim, but if you are a little fat, your knees, your hip will suffer, because you must also think that you are carrying a backpack, which would be about 10% of your weight. So at some time of the Camino, and you saw that also, people start suffering from your knees, from the ankles, or your whole yes, the hips, also the elbows are. You need to be trained, because you need to walk a lot. You are spending 8 hours of a day walking. So I believe you need to be a little trained. Yes.
Okay. So, right, should we do the quick fire round? So I'm going to ask you some quick questions. Sleeping bag or sleep sheet?
I believe a sleeping bag. Any time of the year, you will need a sleep. My sleeping bag is quite light. You prepare it in a way that it takes a very small place in the backpack. And the main reason I take the sleeping bag is that you need to warm up your muscles when you're resting, and that is a sleeping bag, a light one in spring or summer, a heavier one in winter, but you need to warm up your body when you are resting or about to rest, and take the sleeping bag.
Okay, so sleeping bag. Albergues or hotels?
I mainly stayed at auberges because I believe in some places you can. They don't have municipal auberges, and you have to switch to private auberges. But I believe that if you are to experience the pilgrimage, you need to do it as authentically as you can. So even if they are not that good, you need to do it just as it is, and to live with the things that you find in the auberges. And we believe that the authentic pilgrimage is done in the municipal auberges.
Okay. Walking boots or walking shoes?
I prefer boots. You know, I played basketball for 20 years, and I had a leather boots, sport boots, sport shoes. So I'm good with boots, and I believe boots are weatherproof. And if the rain comes, the water will not come inside. I saw other pilgrimages that wore sport shoes, and mainly in the primitive way, there is a lot of mud, there are a lot of water when it rains, and you have to come across that, and you need waterproof boots. So I prefer, even if they are heavier, I believe the leather boots are the best for walking in the pilgrimage.
Okay. So next one, do you prefer to go to a restaurant or home cooking when you're on the Camino?
Oh, anytime I can, I like to cook. I myself, I like cooking, and in the way, some places you don't even have a restaurant in the primitive way, or a bar, so you have to buy stuff to cook, or you will not eat. So you need to. They tell you, watch in the village you are about to stay. You will not have a bar, or maybe if it's Sunday, everything is closed. You will not find any bar, anything. So buy the stuff to cook and learn to do some pasta or rice. We always did a good meals because you need to eat well. Rice with fish or rice with meatballs, with sausages or anything that is good to eat because you need energy.
Fantastic. Okay. And what did you use for a guide? Did you use a book or did you use an app on your phone, or what did you use?
It's different with the Camino you choose. You will have different sources of information. For example, in the French way, you find a lot of information. I used an app. I downloaded and I paid, I believe, $3 or $4, and it had all the information about the verges, the restaurants, the bars, and it also had a GPS with a trace of the Camino marked, so you could always check where you were and where the Camino was. In the primitive way, we got lost, and finding on the cell phone, you catch the cell phone and you see, well, here is the Camino, and I am not on the Camino. So we started walking to the left or to the right, and we found the Camino. We were between cows. The cows were staring at us, and they were telling us, you are not in a good way. So we decided to reach the to the left, and we finally got our our way. So, but anyway, before the Camino, check the internet. There are many very complete guides, but you don't need to buy a book if you check in the internet or download an app. But for example, the Portuguese way that Ale did last year, there is not so much information, so you need to buy a book. She took the book with her, and it was useful.
Fantastic, fantastic. So yeah, a lot of people say that your true pilgrimage or your true Camino actually starts when you get home. Was that right for you?
Yes. The Camino teaches you many lessons. In myself, I became a lot more patient, a lot less anxious. I learned to enjoy the good days, and I learned to about the bad days, to overcome them. You know that you find bad days, good days. Be patient. The good days are about to come, and I learned also to laugh a little more, smile more, and be kind to people who need. And that's are the main lessons I learned in the Camino.
You are always smiling. Whenever I've seen you, even on Facebook, you are always. I can't believe that you didn't smile as much before.
Yes, but that's something I learned in the meantime while I was doing the Camino, because I learned to be more thankful to what life gives you, and I believe we are in life to play, to celebrate. We are not here to suffer. We are here to smile, to laugh, and to enjoy.
Life is there for living.
Yes,
it's there to be lived, and I think that's so true. Fernando, did you? I don't know if you saw my note about asking for a quote.
Go to the Camino to let the Camino surprise you. I would say, I always say, go walk with emotion and with illusion. Live it, enjoy it. It's not, the aim is not to arrive. That will happen. You will arrive anywhere. But the aim is not to arrive. If the aim is enjoy every inch, enjoy every meter. Don't collect kilometers. Enjoy the meters.
Enjoy the meters.
That's what I would say.
Enjoy the journey that you take to get to wherever you're going.
That's what I would say. Yes, definitely.
And if you had some advice for somebody who's perhaps thinking, should I walk the Camino? Let me think, shall I do it? What would you say?
I would say that there's a time in your life that you need to spend a different holiday. or to go to a different place or to do something for you, exclusively for you, not for others, not because you have to take the holidays and go to that certain place where everybody goes. Do something to be with yourself, to spend with little things. Don't take more stuff than you need, and be able to open your heart for emotions. And the advice is do that for you and bring the less things you can. So to spend a good time with yourself and to be able to feel things you have never experienced before. That is what the Camino will provide you, true emotions.
Fantastic. I couldn't have put it any better myself. Fernando, you've been a tremendous pilgrim, and it's an honour to class you as my friend as well as a fellow pilgrim. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for calling me for this interview. And like you said, we are now, we believe we are family. We believe we can talk to each other like true family, like pilgrim friends. And we shall always be pilgrims and friends and family forever. So thank you.
And Argentina is definitely on our list to come over and see you. That would be amazing.
Okay, I'm waiting for you. This is your house. You can come anytime. There's spare places to be here, and we can make some barbecues, and we'll show you the places we have here. So
and Fernando,
welcome anytime you want.
Bon Camino.
You too. Buen camino.